By 6 o'clock, everyone in the hotel lobby believed elevator safety inspector Sasha Lin had sabotaged the grand opening. The evidence seemed obvious. She had attached a red safety lock to the glass elevator. She had refused to sign the operating release. Then Adrian Cross had taken the inspection key from her hand and announced that she was no longer authorized to interfere with the launch. Two security guards escorted Sasha across the marble lobby while investors, reporters, and VIP guests watched. Someone near the gold ribbon whispered that she was only a maintenance technician trying to make herself important. No one defended her. Adrian gave the crowd a simple explanation. A contract inspector found a minor issue and is using it to pressure the project. Contractor Grant Vale raised a folder of completed test results. The elevator passed every required test. She changed her position after the work was finished. Even Sasha's supervisor sounded uncertain when he called. "Tell me you didn't alter the control system." Sasha stood outside beneath the glass shaft, her equipment case at her feet. "I locked it under safety protocol. I didn't alter anything." That distinction may not matter if they file a formal complaint. It mattered to Sasha. A safety lock left a record. A bypass tried to erase one. Her copied control log showed the door sensor reporting secure at 4:52 p.m. While the mechanical lock remained open, it stayed open for another 11 seconds. The system had been made to believe the doors were safe before they locked. Everything appeared visible through the glass shaft. The lie was hidden in numbers no guest would question. Adrian believed he had already defined the story. An ambitious technician had delayed a multi-million-dollar opening over a minor defect. What he had not understood was why she locked it. Someone inside the project already knew it was unsafe and knew she had found proof. 9 hours earlier, Sasha arrived at the Halcyon Crown Hotel before the floral cruise. At 9:03, crews filled the lobby while a stage crew tested the rooftop feed. The glass elevator climbed the outside of the tower. At 6:15, the owner and investors would take its first ceremonial ride. Sasha had seen expensive projects treat inspection as the final inconvenience before celebration. She had also seen what happened when inconvenience won. She was 30, licensed in 3 states, and better at reading systems than the people who controlled them. Machines warned in patterns. Executives warned in compliments. Adrian Cross greeted her beside the ribbon display. "Sasha, glad you're early. I'm on schedule. Even better." He handed her a run sheet. "Insurance needs the release by 5:15. Ribbon at 6. First ride at 6:15. The release would trigger Grant's final $2.8 million payment and Adrian's 6-figure launch bonus. If the VIP ride slipped beyond that evening, both would be deferred. Her inspection window ended at 4:30. "You moved the final ride forward. We refined the program. After my team approved the schedule." Adrian's smile held. "No one is asking you to skip anything important." That word stayed with her. Important. Not required. Not safe. Grant Vale arrived with a thick white folder, relaxed in the way of men who treated delays as personal insults. "System is clean," he said. "We ran the final load test overnight." Sasha held out her hand. "Raw file." Grant gave her the folder. "Final report is all there. I need the controller export and calibration record. You'll have them before you need them." The cover sheet listed the equipment number, rated capacity, braking response, and final result. Passed. The test time was 2:10 a.m. Sasha marked the page with a yellow tab. Grant noticed. "Problem? I haven't decided." The morning checks began at the lowest landing. Sasha inspected the emergency stop, intercom, door track, and locking assembly while Malik recorded each result. Grant's crew stayed close enough to listen but far enough to avoid questions. Jonah Reyes, a young electrician with a temporary badge, stood near the control cabinet and kept checking his phone without reading it. "Who last accessed the door circuit?" Sasha asked. Jonah looked toward Grant. "Installation team." "Which person?" "I'd have to check the work log." Grant answered for him. "Routine calibration. Nothing outside scope." Sasha closed the landing door by hand. Metel. The green indicator came on. She waited for the final mechanical click. It came late. She opened the door and repeated the test. The same delay. How long has it been doing that? Grant folded his arms. Doing what? Reporting closed before the lock fully engages. It's signal latency. 11 seconds is not latency. Jonah's head lifted for a moment. Sasha filed that away. She opened the control cabinet. A new white inspection seal crossed the panel, but beneath it she found the corner of her own preliminary seal. Someone had opened the cabinet after her last visit and covered the original seal.
No, I did not.
Who
It was
replaced
already like
this?
that.
We completed software calibration, Grant said. Then why isn't it in the access record? We're updating the packet. Sasha photographed both layers. Adrian appeared at the end of the corridor. We cannot have surprises today. Then don't create them. His expression changed. He no longer looked at her as a contractor. He looked at her as a problem. 3 years earlier, Sasha had kept a similar discrepancy inside a project team after a senior inspector promised a correction. 2 weeks later, a maintenance worker injured his hand testing the same assembly. The injury healed. The memory did not. Sasha placed a temporary hold in the inspection system. No release until I see the raw load data, the access log, and the door circuit restored to its approved configuration. Adrian glanced toward the lobby, where workers carried in champagne cases. Your firm understands the value of this account. My firm understands what my license means. Your license exists to verify compliance, not manufacture delays. Sasha looked at the green indicator. It was dark now. Honest, for the moment. Then give me the records. Grant tapped the folder against his palm. The raw files were moved to our archive server. Send them. We're having synchronization issues. Sasha turned to Malik. Request the building power. Interruption log. Grant paused. Small, but enough. At 10:18, Malik returned with the facilities report. From 1:47 until 3:05 that morning, the glass elevator's traction drive and brake circuit had been locked out while the emergency generator system was tested. The controller remained on low voltage commissioning power, but facilities recorded the hoist motor as electrically isolated for the entire window. Sasha placed the report beside Grant's cover sheet. The final load test was recorded at 2:10. The controller could record commands at 2:10. The cabin could not have completed a full load run. Jonah had gone pale. Then Adrian's assistant appeared with a release form open to the signature page. Mr. Cross says insurance needs this by 5:15. Sasha read the certification line. All required tests completed. No unresolved safety conditions. She closed the folder. Tell Mr. Cross I'll sign when that sentence is true. At 10:26, Sasha sent 3 requests from her tablet. One requested the equipment delivery log. Another requested Grant's raw controller export. The last requested the calibration certificate for the steel weights listed in the final report. She copied Adrian, insurance representative Priya Desai, and her own supervisor. Grant's manner changed at once. You're escalating before giving us time to respond. I asked for the files 20 minutes ago. You asked during active commissioning. You said commissioning was complete. Adrian stepped between them with the release form still in his hand. There are 600 people arriving today, he said. A delay affects the hotel, the investors, the staff, and every vendor connected to this opening. He did not mention Grant's final payment or his own launch bonus. A false release affects whoever enters that cabin. You're treating a timing discrepancy as fraud. I haven't called it fraud. Not yet. Sasha returned to the control cabinet. Her preliminary seal had been broken along the lower edge. The replacement covered most of the original serial number but left 2 digits exposed. She photographed the overlap and asked Malik to record it as a witnessed condition. Grant gave a short laugh. You're documenting adhesive? I'm documenting access. Jonah stood beside a tool cart, rearranging connectors that did not need rearranging. Who opened this cabinet after my preliminary inspection? Sasha asked. Grant answered first. My commissioning team. I asked Jonah. The young electrician's hands stopped. I was here for signal verification. Did you open the door? Safety circuit? We checked continuity. That wasn't my question. Grant moved closer. He's an apprentice. Direct technical questions to me. Jonah lowered his eyes. A streak of white adhesive marked the cuff of his jacket, the same shade as the replacement seal. Before Sasha could ask about it, her tablet chimed. Hotel facilities had answered. The calibrated weight cart entered the loading dock at 6:38 a.m. It reached the elevator staging area at 7:04. An attached photograph showed 6 stacks of steel weights still wrapped in blue transport bands. The report claimed the full load test began at 2:10. Grant saw the photograph. That doesn't prove those were the only weights used. The report lists those serial numbers. We had temporary site weights. Show me their calibration records. They were contractor owned. They still required certification. Adrian exhaled. This is the kind of technical loop that destroys schedules. No. This determines whether the test happened. Her supervisor called before Adrian could respond. Grant says equivalent certified weights were used, he said. He hasn't produced a certificate. Do not accuse anyone in writing until legal reviews the file. I haven't. And keep the hold temporary. The call ended without support. At 10:44, Grant finally sent the controller export. The package contained an event log and configuration snapshot. Sasha saved the original, generated a checksum, and copied it to Malik's encrypted drive before opening the files. The event log showed routine commissioning until 1:58 a.m. Then a maintenance state appeared. Installation bypass enabled. At 2:06, the door interlock changed from dual verification to simulated closed. At 2:12, the controller recorded a full load run. At 2:18, the system returned to normal. The sequence was too orderly. Sasha opened the user field. The bypass had been enabled under the credentials of Daniel Coe. Who is Daniel Coe? No one answered immediately. Jonah looked at Grant. Grant looked at Adrian. Former controls engineer, Grant said. When did he leave? 2 weeks ago. Sasha checked the access roster. Daniel Coe's badge had been deactivated 13 days earlier. An inactive engineer's account enabled a bypass during a test that used equipment not yet inside the hotel. Credentials remain cached, Grant said. It proves nothing. It proves this is no longer a missing attachment. A notification flashed across Sasha's screen. Remote session requested. Someone on the project network was trying to enter the controller while she still had the log open. She rejected the request and disconnected the service cable. Grant stepped toward her. What did you do? Preserve the current state. You interrupted commissioning. You said it was finished. Jonah spoke before Grant could answer. They can overwrite the local buffer by running enough demo cycles. Grant turned sharply. No one asked you. Jonah closed his mouth, but Sasha had heard enough. The detailed buffer stored only 50 cycles before older entries rolled off. From the lobby came the smooth chime of the event team testing the elevator music. Adrian's assistant appeared at the doorway. The photographers want the cabin moving by noon. If Grant ran the demonstration sequence repeatedly, the bypass record could vanish before Priya reviewed it. Sasha removed a data module from her case. Malik, prepare an authenticated image of the controller memory. Grant blocked the cabinet. You do not have authorization to copy proprietary software. I'm preserving a safety log. I'm revoking your access. You cannot revoke an inspector during an active hold. Adrian reached for his phone. Then I'll have your company replace you. Sasha connected the module. You can replace me after the record is preserved. The progress bar moved past 30%. Grant watched the screen, then glanced toward the service corridor. He was not waiting for the copy to finish. He was looking for another way into the system. By 4:37 p.m., the lobby no longer looked like a construction site. The protective runners were gone. The marble-reflected chandeliers, camera lights, and white flowers arranged around the gold ribbon. A quartet rehearsed beneath the mezzanine while waiters moved among guests gathering near the glass elevator. Sasha entered through the service corridor with Malik beside her. The controller image had finished at 10:53 that morning. Since then, Grant's team had provided no certified record for the temporary waits, no explanation for Daniel Ko's account, and no authorized work order for the bypass. At 3:40, Sasha issued a formal safety hold. At 4:12, Adrian replied that the hold was administratively disputed. At 4:29, Grant's team began preparing the cabin for what they called a lighting rehearsal. Now the elevator stood at the lobby landing, its transparent doors closed behind the ribbon. The green indicator glowed above them. Sasha checked the mechanical latch through the inspection gap. It had not seated completely. "Do not cycle the car," she told the technician at the temporary control station. The technician looked at Grant. Grant was speaking with Adrian near the press wall. When he saw Sasha, he walked toward her. "You were instructed to remain off the project floor while your company reviews the complaint. My hold is still active. Your access is under dispute. The device status is not." She held up her tablet. The controller was reporting door secure while the latch remained partially open. Grant did not look at the screen. "We are not carrying passengers." "Then why is the ceremonial route loaded into the dispatch panel?" A coordinator standing nearby lowered her clipboard. Grant followed Sasha's eyes to the route display. "Lobby to rooftop. Priority service. Manual override available." "It's a demonstration profile," he said, "with passenger capacity enabled." Adrian arrived before Grant could answer. His jacket was buttoned now. A television camera followed 3 steps behind him. "This conversation is over," he said. "No. The elevator is still under safety hold. You've made that claim repeatedly. Because the condition still exists." The camera operator moved closer. Adrian noticed. His voice changed. He turned toward the investors and reporters gathering behind the ribbon. "Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for the delay. A contract maintenance technician has raised a minor calibration concern after the system completed inspection." Sasha stared at him. He had removed both her title and her authority in one sentence. "I am the assigned elevator safety inspector," she said. Adrian gave the crowd a patient smile. "She is part of an outside service team. We are addressing her concerns." Grant lifted the white folder. The elevator passed every required test. Sasha stepped toward it. "Then show the raw load data." A few reporters raised their phones. Adrian's expression hardened beneath the smile. "This is not the place for a technical disagreement. You chose the place when you announced I was delaying the opening." A man near the ribbon whispered to the woman beside him. "She wants the cameras on her." No one corrected him. Adrian extended his hand. "Give me the inspection key. The hold is registered to my license. The hotel owns the equipment. The hotel does not own my authorization." He reached before she could move. His fingers closed around the key ring and pulled it from her hand. The sound carried the metal striking his cuff link, the ring scraping across Sasha's glove. Malik stepped forward. Sasha stopped him with one look. Adrian raised the key for the room to see. "As project director, I am revoking her physical access until this matter is reviewed." "You cannot revoke a safety lock by taking a key," Sasha said. Grant moved between them. "Security." 2 uniformed guards approached. The quartet stopped playing, one instrument at a time. Adrian pointed toward the main doors. "Escort her off the property." Sasha looked at the nearest guard. "My equipment case contains licensed inspection tools and preserved safety records. It stays with me." The guard glanced at Adrian. "Let her take it," Adrian said. "We're not interested in her theatrics." The word did what he intended. It turned procedure into performance and Sasha into the problem. She bent to close her case. Her hands remained steady until the latch caught on the lining. For 1 second, it would not close. Heat rose behind her eyes. Not because she doubted the fault, because hundreds of people were watching Adrian erase the meaning of her work, and correct data could not stop the humiliation from reaching her first. Malik quietly pressed the lining flat. The latch closed. Sasha stood. Before the guards moved, she faced Priya Desai, who had been watching from beside the insurance table. "The red lock is active under Protocol 7-14, Sasha said. The controller memory was preserved at 10:53. Any attempt to bypass or remove that lock must be recorded. Priya's gaze shifted to the elevator, then to the key in Adrian's hand. She did not answer. The guards walked Sasha across the marble lobby. Camera lights followed. Guests moved aside as if the accusation itself might be contagious. At the revolving doors, Adrian called after her. The opening will proceed. Sasha turned once. My certification does not cover a single movement of that car. Outside, evening light reflected off the glass shaft. Her phone vibrated before the hotel doors closed behind her. Controller admin access requested. A second alert followed. Safety lock removal attempt failed. Adrian had taken the key. The elevator had refused to obey him. At 4:46 p.m., Sasha opened her laptop on the hood of Malik's inspection van. The hotel's glass tower reflected the last pale blue of the afternoon. Through the revolving doors, guests continued gathering near the ribbon. Malik connected the encrypted drive. The controller image is clean, he said. Checksum matches the copy from 1050. 3. Sasha opened the preserved files. She did not return to the bypass log or the impossible test time. They had already established both. Now she wanted to know what kind of test the report described. The load graph filled the screen. Acceleration. Settling. Brake engagement. Weight distribution across the travel cycle. At first glance, it looked professional. That was the danger of good fraud. It did not look invented. It looked borrowed. Sasha enlarged the stopping sequence. The cabin had supposedly carried full rated load through the exterior shaft, but the graph showed a vibration pattern repeating at equal intervals, as if the car had passed structural joints inside a conventional enclosed shaft. The glass elevator had no such joints. Malik leaned closer. Another car? This car could not have produced it. She opened the design file. The exterior lift's travel distance, counterweight ratio, cable length, and wind compensation profile were unique. A real full-load run would also show small corrections from the exterior guide system as the cabin climbed above the lower floors. Grant's report showed none. The acceleration plateau ended too early. Sasha compared it with the hotel's other elevators. The first passenger lift had a different braking signature. The second had the wrong capacity. The service elevator behind the ballroom matched. She aligned the graphs. Peak by peak, the shapes settled over each other. Malik stared at the screen. They copied the service car. Not perfectly. A narrow spike appeared 7 seconds before final braking. It came from the service elevator's freight door stabilizer, a component the glass cabin did not have. Someone had changed the equipment code and date, but left the mechanical fingerprint inside the data. Sasha saved the comparison in 3 formats and generated a new hash record. Malik photographed the laptop clock beside the file summary, adding one more link to the chain of custody. Her phone rang. Priya Desai. I received your preservation notice, Priya said. Adrian says you copied proprietary files after your access was revoked. My copy finished before the revocation. The checksum was created at 10:53. Malik witnessed it. What did you find? The load report belongs to another elevator. That is a serious accusation. It's a measurable difference. Explain it without engineering language. Sasha looked through the hotel doors. Adrian stood beneath the press wall, greeting a member of the ownership group. The report says the glass elevator made a trip its physical design could not make. The data contains the signature of a freight component that does not exist on this car. Priya paused. Send me the comparison and chain of custody record. Do not circulate the raw file. You'll have it in 2 minutes. I am not taking your side, Miss Lin. I didn't ask you to. I am deciding whether the insurance submission can still be relied upon. That is the side I need you to take. At 4:53, Sasha sent the packet. At 4:55, her project credentials stopped working. A message followed from her supervisor. Effective immediately. Cease direct communication with hotel personnel pending internal review. Sasha read it twice. The words were procedural, not final. They still landed like a door closing. For one brief moment, She imagined returning the drive, closing her case, and allowing someone else to inherit the risk. Her license, her team's contract, and Malik's work were now tied to every choice she made. Then she looked at the cabin behind the glass. "They're isolating you," Malik said. "They're protecting the contract. What do? We build a record they cannot call personal." She drafted a formal preservation notice to Adrian, Grant, Priya, the hotel's general manager, and ownership council. It identified 4 items, without accusing anyone of fraud. The controller image captured at 10:53. The inactive account used to enable the bypass. The delivery record for the calibrated weights. The load curve matching the service elevator. She requested that all source files, access logs, work orders, emails, and device histories be preserved. Malik read the draft. "They told you to stop contacting them. This is a safety notice under my license, not project correspondence." She pressed send. Inside the hotel, the glass elevator moved. Only 3 feet. Then it stopped. Her tablet displayed a new event. Manual recovery mode active. Grant was using rescue controls to reposition the cabin without clearing the registered hold. Sasha called Priya. No answer. 30 seconds later, a message appeared. "I checked the insurance copy. The freight stabilizer code is there too." A second line followed. "Do not leave. They are preparing another submission, and the ceremony is still scheduled to begin in just over an hour." At 5:02 p.m., the hotel changed the schedule. The announcement appeared on the event staff channel, then on the public display beside the ballroom doors. Ribbon ceremony, 5:50 p.m. Ceremonial ascent, 6:05 p.m. 10 minutes had disappeared. Sasha read the update from the inspection van. "They moved it forward," Malik said. "They're shortening the window before Priya can stop the submission." A controller alert appeared. Recovery mode cycle 2 complete. Grant was not merely repositioning the cabin. He was running it. Sasha opened the retained buffer index. Each recovery cycle created new door commands, motor checks, brake confirmations, and position resets. The controller stored only a limited number of detailed events before the oldest records rolled off. At the current pace, the bypass sequence from 2:06 a.m. could disappear before the ceremony. "They know the local history is finite," she said. "Your image preserved it. For us. Not for whoever opens that cabinet next and claims the live system never contained it." Her phone rang from an internal hotel number. Celia Moreno, the general manager, introduced herself without small talk. "Mr. Cross says the elevator will remain stationary for the ribbon ceremony. The dispatch panel was programmed for a rooftop run. He says that route was only loaded for visual synchronization. The cabin has completed 2 recovery cycles since I was removed." A pause. "The owners are already in the lobby. I need facts I can act on, not a conflict between contractors. Then stop every movement until an independent test is completed. I have Adrian telling me the unit is safe and the insurer has not withdrawn coverage. Ask him to put both statements in writing." Celia ended the call without agreeing. At 5:08, Priya sent un message. "I have not approved the revised submission. Keep your preserved records available." That was not a stop order. Inside the tower, the cabin rose another half floor and settled. Malik checked the service map. "There's a maintenance entrance behind the loading dock. It leads to the controller level without crossing the lobby. They revoked my project credentials." Malik glanced at the active hold confirmation still displayed on her tablet. Sasha closed the laptop. "The record still exists," Sasha said. "Bring the chain of custody drive." They entered through the loading dock at 5:14. Catering staff pushed silver carts toward the ballroom. Above the noise, Sasha heard the muted chime of the elevator cycling again. At the stairwell to the controller level, Jonas stepped from behind a fire door. "You cannot be here. Then report me." He looked toward the loading dock. Grant sent Leon upstairs to remove the event memory module. Sasha stopped. "The removable buffer?" Jonah nodded. "He said it was corrupt." "Is it?" "No." The admission came quietly. White adhesive still marked Jonah's cuff. You replaced the seal, Sasha said. I was told the cabinet had to be reopened for continuity checks. Did you alter the door circuit? He did not answer. From above came the metallic snap of a cabinet latch. Jonah looked at the stairs. If they pull that module, the controller will build a new event history after restart. Who ordered it? Grant. I need you to say that in front of Malik. No. Then move. Jonah blocked the first step. Leon has security with him. If they see you, Adrian will say you accessed proprietary equipment after your authorization was revoked. Then Malik records every step. I'm not letting the evidence disappear because Adrian changed a badge status. They won't explain that to the cameras. Sasha heard the fear beneath his warning. It was not for the elevator. It was fear of being trapped between two versions of the truth. Why are you helping me? Jonah reached into his jacket but stopped before taking anything out. Because that circuit was supposed to be temporary. Sasha waited. Grant said it was for alignment. He said we would remove it before inspection. You installed the bridge. Yes. The answer did not make Sasha trust him. It made the danger clearer. Is it still there? I don't know. He stopped letting me into the cabinet after you arrived. You took a photograph. Jonah looked at her. Give it to me. If I do, I lose my job. If you keep it, Grant may use your name when this opens. My badge is already in the work log. Then decide whether the record shows you followed an instruction or designed the deception. Footsteps sounded above them. Jonah moved aside. There's a junction room on the next landing. The module can be imaged there without connecting to the controller. Leon will pass through it. Sasha turned to Malik. Document the time and location. Jonah caught her sleeve. I have more than the photo. What? A message from the night before commissioning. It says to leave the bridge in place until after the opening. From Grant? The number is unlisted. Show me. Stop the module from disappearing first. At 5:18, the elevator chimed again. The ceremony was 32 minutes away. And somewhere above them, a man was carrying the controller's remaining memory toward the stairs. At 5:19 p.m., Sasha and Malik reached the junction room above the loading dock. Malik set the encrypted drive beside an unused monitor and began recording. Footsteps sounded in the stairwell. Leon Mercer appeared carrying a black antistatic case. A security guard followed him. The module stays on site, Sasha said. Grant ordered a replacement. Then log the removal and let me inspect the original before it leaves. Your access was revoked. This module is evidence named in a registered safety notice, Sasha said. It does not leave without a witness transfer. The guard raised one hand. Miss Lin, you need to leave. Sasha pointed to the case. Log the serial number, the time, and who ordered the removal. Grant's voice came through Leon's radio. Bring the module down. Do not engage. Then Priya Desai's voice came from Malik's phone. Do not remove that module. Malik had called her without announcing it. I am issuing a temporary evidence preservation instruction on behalf of the carrier, Priya said. Keep it where it is until custody is confirmed. The guard stepped back. Leon placed the case on the workbench. Sasha photographed the seal, serial number, and time. Malik recorded Leon stating where he had removed it and who had ordered him to do so. At 5:23, the module was secured inside the junction room cabinet with a numbered evidence seal from Sasha's kit. It did not yet prove the elevator was unsafe. It proved the original record still existed. Priya arrived 6 minutes later through the loading entrance. She carried a thin folder. I reviewed the submission Grant sent at 4:58, she said. It differs from the version attached to your morning request. The revised report contained a cleaner graph, corrected power notation, and a new certification page. Sasha's name appeared beneath the line. Inspector present for full rated load test. Below it sat an image of her signature. For several seconds, Sasha only looked at it. The final stroke curved upward. Sasha had stopped signing that way 2 years earlier. They put me in the room, she said. The signature block was added at 4:31, Priya replied. At that time, Sasha had been in the lobby preparing to enforce the hold. Malik checked his photographs. I have her beside the elevator at 4:32. Sasha opened the document metadata. The signing credential belonged to a shared commissioning account, not her licensing token. Grant had not forged a secure signature. He had pasted a picture of one. If this had been accepted, Priya said, the insurer would have relied on your presence and approval. And if the car failed? The first question would be why you witnessed the test and later denied it. The plan became clear. Grant needed Sasha connected to the test before Adrian removed her. The public scene in the lobby gave them a reason to claim she had changed her position after approving the elevator. The humiliation had not merely been punishment. It had been part of the paperwork. Adrian had needed witnesses who would remember Sasha as angry, obstructive, and suddenly unreliable. Priya tapped the revised graph. Can you prove this still came from the service car without relying only on your copy? Sasha used Priya's authorized terminal to retrieve a routine diagnostic run from the service elevator. The same freight door stabilizer spike appeared 7 seconds before braking. The same vibration interval crossed the graph. The same acceleration plateau ended early. Grant had changed the labels, not the machine's physical fingerprint. Priya placed the reports side by side. This is not a clerical error. No. But it does not establish the door bypass by itself. We need the module and a controlled retest. Jonah stood near the stairwell. Sasha turned to him. Show Priya the message. He took out his phone. At 11:14 the night before, an unlisted number had sent. Keep bridge through opening. Remove after VIP run, no paper trail. 3 minutes later. Use co-login for final cycle. Priya looked at Jonah. Who used this number? I received instructions from Grant through it before. Scheduling, parts, overtime. Jonah found an earlier message containing a photograph of a damaged relay. Grant here. Use this number off the site channel. Priya photographed the thread. If I give you the phone, he'll say I created it, Jonah said. He may, Sasha replied. That is why we preserve the device and carry a record, not just screenshots. Footsteps rushed down the corridor. Adrian entered with Grant behind him. What are you doing with project files? Adrian demanded. Priya closed the folder. Reviewing a submission made to my company. Grant saw the evidence seal. That module is defective. Then you will have no objection to an independent examination, Priya said. Adrian looked at Sasha. You were ordered to stop contacting hotel personnel. She held up the certification page. Why does this say I witnessed a test conducted while I was not in the building? Administrative template, Grant said. With my signature image? A draft artifact. Submitted to insurance? His confidence slipped in the half-step he took toward the folder. Priya moved it out of reach. I am suspending reliance on the commissioning package. No passenger operation until an independent retest is completed. Ceremony music rose from the lobby below. Adrian checked the time. It is 5:34. You cannot assemble a new team in 16 minutes. Sasha looked at the sealed module, Jonah's phone, and the test equipment waiting nearby. I don't need a new team. She met Adrian's eyes. I need you to stop changing the one we already have. At 5:36 p.m., Adrian stopped arguing in the corridor. He began building a file. The first document reached Sasha's supervisor before she returned to the controller room. Urgent notice of inspector misconduct. Grant accused her of breaking the original seal, altering the door safety circuit, copying proprietary software, and placing a lock on equipment after the elevator had passed commissioning. Attached were 4 photographs. One showed Sasha beside the open cabinet. Another showed the replacement seal apparently intact. A third showed her red lock. The last showed a loose connector in the door circuit. Together, they created a sequence that had never happened. Sasha checked the metadata. The photograph of the intact seal had been taken at 4:41 p.m., hours after she documented the older seal beneath it, and while she was already in the lobby. The loose connector image had no original timestamp. Its file name had also been changed to match the morning inspection sequence. Grant stripped the metadata through a messaging app, Malik said. He wants the missing data to look accidental. Her supervisor called. Do not touch the elevator again. Counsel is reviewing a formal complaint. The insurer ordered an independent retest. Priya can order what she wants for coverage. You are not leading it until we resolve whether you exceeded your authority. My license is named in a false certification, and that is now a legal issue. It becomes a safety issue the moment they move the car. He lowered his voice. Sasha, help me protect the company. She looked through the junction room window. Grant stood near the sealed module cabinet as if it belonged to him. I am protecting the company. Then stand down. The call ended. Sasha placed both hands flat on the workbench. They were shaking. Malik said nothing, which was kinder than pretending not to notice. If her firm suspended her from field work and reported the complaint to the licensing board, every inspection she had signed in the previous year could be reviewed. Clients would not need proof of misconduct. The complaint alone could make them hesitate. Adrian entered carrying a printed copy of the notice. You should leave before this becomes worse. For whom? For everyone attached to your name. He set the report beside her case. You accessed a cabinet after your authority was challenged. You removed data. You interfered with commissioning. None of that answers the false signature. That document was a draft. Priya received it as part of the operating submission. Then Grant will correct the administrative error. Grant joined them. The door circuit was compliant when we finished, he said. Any loose connection found after Miss Lin's access has an obvious explanation. There it was. Not that the bypass never existed. That Sasha had created it. You replaced the seal and photographed the cabinet after I was removed, she said. Prove that. Sasha opened Malik's morning photograph. The replacement seal already covered her original serial number. Then she opened hotel footage showing her beneath the chandelier at 4:41, 30 yards from the cabinet when Grant's photograph was created. Grant's expression shifted. Adrian recovered first. Photographs do not resolve the condition of the circuit. No, Sasha said. A controlled retest will. Priya entered with Celia Moreno. The owner's council has approved a limited independent test, Priya said. No passengers. Witness configuration. Full video record. Adrian turned to Celia. You are allowing a suspended contractor to dismantle launch equipment in front of guests? I am allowing the insurer to determine whether it can move. The ceremony begins in 14 minutes. Then the test should be simple. Grant folded his arms. The unit will pass. He said it too quickly. Sasha understood. He believed the live configuration had been cleaned. The bridge could be removed, the module called defective, and the revised report blamed on office staff. If the car completed one unloaded cycle, Adrian would declare the dispute finished. I will not touch the circuit during the first test, Sasha said. Grant looked at her. Priya's technician will operate the controls. Your team will state the configuration on camera. Then we load the cabin according to the approved plan and test the mechanical lock under actual force. Adrian stepped in. A no-load functional check is sufficient for a launch demonstration. It is sufficient for a photograph, Sasha said, not for certification. Celia looked at Priya. What does coverage require? A valid, full-rated test and verified door interlock. The quartet began the ceremony program below them. Through the floor, applause rose from guests who still believed the delay was nearly over. Adrian could refuse and confirm Sasha's warning, or agree and trust Grant's cleanup. Fine, he said. Run the test. Then he pointed at Sasha. But if it passes, the misconduct report is filed before you leave. Sasha picked up her red inspection lock. If it passes correctly, I will remove this myself. Behind Grant, Jonah appeared at the stairwell holding his phone. The retest would not only examine the elevator. It would decide which of them became the official cause of everything that had gone wrong. At 5:41 p.m., Jonah stood outside the controller room with his phone in both hands. Below them, the ceremony host welcomed investors to the Halcyon Crown. Applause rose through the shaft. Grant saw Jonah and understood immediately. Go back to the staging area. Jonah did not move. Priya opened an evidence pouch on the workbench. If you provide that device, It must be preserved before anyone searches or forwards anything. Grant stepped between them. He has no authority to release company communications. They concern a bypass on a safety circuit, Sasha said. Grant turned on Jonah. You installed it. Jonah's face tightened. I installed what you told me to install. I told you to configure a temporary commissioning bridge and remove it before inspection, which you failed to do. Jonah looked at Sasha. That's what he'll say. Sasha did not soften the truth. You did install it. Yes. And you knew it could not remain in service. Yes. Then say both things. Adrian entered with Celia and one of the owner's attorneys. What is this now? Grant pointed at Jonah. An apprentice exceeded instructions and is trying to protect himself. Adrian checked the time. We agreed to test the elevator, not conduct employee interviews. Sasha turned to Jonah. If you wait until after the test, Grant will write the sequence for you. Jonah unlocked his phone. The message thread opened to the instructions Sasha had already seen. Keep bridge through opening. Remove after VIP run. No paper trail. He scrolled upward. Use KO login tonight. Do not log cabinet reopen. Send seal photo after replacement. One message contained a circuit diagram with the exact bridge points marked in red. Grant's name did not appear in the thread, but 3 weeks earlier, the sender had written, Grant here. Personal line. Use only when the site channel gets crowded. Priya photographed the screen without touching the phone. Jonah, do you consent to preserving the device and requesting carrier records? He swallowed. Yes. Grant moved closer. You understand that admitting unauthorized work ends your employment. Jonah looked at him. I understood that when you asked me to leave my name off the work order. The owner's attorney raised his head. There was no work order? I asked for one twice. Mr. Vale said the bridge was part of alignment and would not remain for turnover. Did you report it anywhere? I wrote a note in the commissioning checklist. Grant cut in. There is no such note. Jonah opened a photograph from the previous afternoon. It showed a checklist on a tool cart. Beside door interlock verification, he had written, Temp bridge still present, remove before inspection. Below it was a blue line crossing the note. When the final packet came back, that page had been replaced, Jonah said. Malik searched Sasha's morning photographs. One image showed Grant carrying the packet. The corner of the original checklist protruded from the folder, Jonah's handwriting visible near the bottom. It did not prove who removed the page. It proved the warning had existed. Adrian's voice lowered. This is an employment dispute. It does not establish that the elevator is unsafe. No, Sasha said. The retest will establish that. Grant faced Jonah again. When this is over, every firm in the city will know you altered a safety circuit. Jonah's grip tightened around the phone. Sasha could see the choice working through him. Silence still offered the possibility of a job and a version of events where he had only followed orders. Speaking meant admitting he had helped create the danger. She did not promise protection she could not give. You may still face consequences, she said. But there is a difference between accepting your part and carrying theirs. Jonah looked through the controller room window. Technicians were placing steel weights across the cabin floor. Most sat near the rear wall, away from the landing doors. That distribution is wrong, Jonah said. Grant turned sharply. It follows the approved procedure. During full capacity, the front row shifts force toward the sill. Sasha examined the placement diagram. Grant had arranged the weights to reduce pressure on the mechanical latch. Another clean-looking test, designed not to test the disputed condition. Redistribute them evenly, she said. Grant objected. Priya overruled him. Jonah placed his phone inside the evidence pouch. Priya sealed it and handed it to the owner's attorney. At 5:47, Celia's radio crackled. The ribbon segment starts in 3 minutes. Adrian looked toward the lobby. We are not delaying the ceremony again. You can cut the ribbon, Celia said. No one enters the elevator. It was the first time she had contradicted him directly. Technicians moved the last steel weight. Sasha stood outside the cabin with her red lock still attached. Priya's technician connected the recorder. Malik positioned cameras on the door mechanism and control display. Grant signed the witnessed configuration with a hand that pressed too hard into the paper. Jonah remained beside the wall. He had chosen to speak. Now the elevator had to do the same. At 5:49 p.m., Adrian stepped onto the platform beside the gold ribbon. The ceremony host lowered her microphone. Investors turned toward him. Reporters raised their phones, expecting an explanation for the delay. Adrian gave them one. "We completed an additional technical review," he said. "The elevator remains structurally sound. A contract inspector raised concerns after commissioning and restricted access to the equipment. We are resolving that dispute now." Grant stood near the cabin with the white report folder under one arm. "The system passed its required checks," he added. "We are performing one more demonstration because we value transparency." Through the glass wall, Sasha saw guests nodding. The language was careful. No mention of a bypass, borrowed test data, or her signature appearing on a report she had never approved. Adrian looked toward the controller room. "Once this final check is complete, the opening will continue." The ceremony host invited the owners closer to the ribbon. Celia did not move. "No passengers enter the cabin," she said. Adrian's jaw tightened, but the cameras remained on him. "Of course. This is only a technical demonstration." Priya's technician began the first test under the witnessed configuration. No load. The doors closed. The mechanical latch seated. The green indicator came on. The cabin rose 18 inches, stopped, and returned to the lobby. Grant turned toward the observers. "As you can see, the interlock functions correctly." Several people relaxed. Adrian looked at Sasha. "This is the issue that delayed the opening?" Sasha checked the recorded force level. "No. That was an unloaded cycle." Grant lifted both hands. "The door either locks or it does not. Not under the same pressure." Priya nodded to the technicians. "Proceed with the approved load distribution." Steel weights were secured across the cabin floor, including the front section Grant had tried to leave light. Cameras captured the latch, door sensor, controller display, and Sasha's red lock. Grant signed the configuration again. The doors began to close. Métal mit métal. The controller displayed door secure, but the mechanical latch stopped short. A narrow gap remained. The green indicator illuminated. Priya's technician kept his hands away from the controls. The controller accepted the upward command. The motor engaged. The cabin shifted less than 2 inches before Sasha's independent safety lock interrupted the circuit. The movement was small. The meaning was not. A front steel weight rolled against its restraint and struck the floor. Celia stepped away from the ribbon. Priya checked the recorder. The controller accepted motion before mechanical lock confirmation. Grant moved toward the panel. The added weight caused temporary alignment pressure. Sasha blocked his path without touching him. "You signed the load arrangement. This is why commissioning includes adjustment. Commissioning ended before you submitted the operating package." Grant looked toward Adrian. Adrian faced the owners. The car did not travel. The protective system stopped it exactly as designed. "The hotel's system did not stop it," Priya said. "Miss Lin's registered inspection lock did." The distinction moved through the observers more slowly than a shouted accusation. Adrian tried again. A redundant safeguard performed its function. Sasha pointed to the synchronized recording. The door sensor changed to secure while the latch remained open. The controller accepted a travel command. "That is the condition I documented this morning." Grant reached for the report folder. "The sensor can be recalibrated in minutes." Sasha opened the preserved controller image on Priya's terminal. At 2:06 a.m., dual verification was replaced with simulated closed under an inactive account. At 4:58 p.m., your revised submission stated that no unresolved door condition existed. She placed the two load graphs beside each other. The test supporting that statement came from the service elevator. The freight door signature remains in the data. Grant looked at the screen but did not challenge the match. Priya opened the revised insurance package, and this submission identifies Sasha Lin as present for the test. The owner's attorney turned toward Grant. Was she present? It was an unfinished template. It was sent to the carrier. By office staff. With her signature image attached? Grant's answer came too late. Adrian stepped away from him. This appears to be a contractor documentation issue. I relied on the technical team. Celia reached into the folder she had brought from her office. You relied on more than that. She handed the attorney 3 printed emails. The first was dated 3 days earlier. Jonah had reported that the door lock bridge remained installed. The second contained Grant's response that final adjustment would happen after the opening. The third was Adrian's message. Do not include temporary commissioning details in the investor update. We need a clean launch. Correct after VIP cycle. Adrian read his own sentence. That referred to reporting language, not passenger safety. Celia looked at him. I asked whether the elevator could open with the bridge active. You replied that Grant had done this before. I relied on his assurance. Jonah stepped forward from the controller room wall. Grant pointed at him. He built the bridge. If it was left in place, that was his failure. Jonah nodded. I installed it. Grant seized the admission. There, you heard him. I installed it because you marked the connection points and said it was for alignment. Jonah continued. I wrote that it had to be removed before inspection. That page was replaced. Priya held up the sealed pouch containing his phone. Carrier records will verify the instruction chain. Jonah looked at the owners, not Grant. I should have stopped when he refused the work order. I did not. But I did not create the test report, replace Miss Lin's signature, or order the bridge kept through the VIP run. Grant's voice rose. He is protecting his license. He does not have one, Sasha said. The documents, recording, and elevator had already answered. Adrian tried to recover the event. We can suspend the ride, correct the sensor, and continue the reception. There is no reason to turn this into a public spectacle. You turned it into one when you removed the inspector in front of the cameras, Celia said. The owner's attorney instructed security to restrict Grant's access to all control rooms and preserve every project device. Priya formally withdrew insurance reliance on the commissioning package. Celia canceled the ceremonial assent. Celia walked to the press platform and took the ceremony host's microphone. The safety hold issued by Sasha Lin was valid, she told the lobby. Today's ceremonial assent is cancelled because the commissioning package cannot be relied upon. Her intervention prevented passenger operation under an unverified condition. No one applauded. The reporters simply turned their cameras from Sasha to Adrian. The owner's attorney held out his hand. Adrian placed Sasha's inspection key into it. Celia returned the key to Sasha in full view of the lobby. Adrian looked at Sasha as though she had chosen the cost settling around him. You have made your point. No, Sasha said. The test made it. She turned to the owner's attorney. The elevator remains locked. Grant's firm should not perform corrective work without independent supervision. Every lift connected to this commissioning team needs a records review. Jonah should be interviewed as a witness, not named as the sole cause. Grant gave a bitter laugh. You are protecting the man who installed it. I am identifying what he did. I am also identifying what you ordered. There was no triumph in her voice. Her hand still carried the memory of shaking over the workbench. But she did not look away. Outside the controller room, the ceremony host lowered the gold ribbon. The first ceremonial ride never began. Behind the glass, the cabin remained level with the lobby floor, full of steel weights and empty of people. 3 days after the opening, the Halcyon Crown removed Grant Vale's company from the project. No announcement was made in the lobby. There were no cameras when investigators sealed the contractor's records room and collected the commissioning laptops. The hotel remained open. The glass elevator did not. Its cabin stayed at the lowest landing behind temporary barriers while an independent team inspected every safety circuit connected to Grant's work. Adrian Cross was placed on administrative leave. Ownership Council reviewed the emails he had sent, the revised insurance package, and the decision to continue preparing the VIP run after the door warning was reported. Grant denied ordering anyone to falsify a test. He called the copied load graph a formatting error, the signature image a draft placeholder. and the bridge an apprentice's unauthorized shortcut. The explanations no longer fit together. Jonah gave a formal statement with an attorney present. He admitted installing the temporary bridge and failing to report it outside Grant's chain of command. He was suspended from fieldwork while the licensing board reviewed his conduct. He did not escape responsibility. He also did not carry Grant's alone. Priya's company withdrew the misconduct notice against Sasha after confirming the controller history, the invalid test data, and the forged certification page. Sasha's firm restored her inspection authority and issued a written correction to every party that had received Adrian's complaint. Her supervisor came to the inspection office instead of calling. He apologized for asking her to stand down before reviewing the record. Sasha accepted the apology, then asked him to put the new escalation procedure in writing. Malik's name was added as the technician who had preserved the original controller image, not as an assistant who happened to be present. Her supervisor called the result a complete vindication. Sasha did not. Vindication suggested the damage disappeared once the truth was established. It did not erase the walk across the marble lobby. It did not erase the moment her own company had asked her to stand down. It did not erase how close she had come to closing her case and allowing someone else to inherit the risk. A week later, Celia Moreno offered her a permanent compliance position overseeing every lift in the hotel group. The title was larger. The salary was better. The office would have been far from the noise of control rooms. Sasha asked for something else. She proposed a formal stop work process that protected inspectors and technicians who refused unsafe releases. Any active safety hold would trigger independent review before the project team could remove the person who issued it. Contractors would also be required to preserve raw controller data, not only final reports. Celia agreed to implement the policy across the group. Sasha remained an inspector. She preferred being close enough to hear when metal failed to make the sound it should. 3 weeks after the cancelled ceremony, the glass elevator was ready for another test. There were no investors in the lobby. No reporters waited behind the ribbon. The floral displays were gone. Only the independent inspection team, Priya, Celia, Malik, and Jonah, stood near the landing. Jonah wore a visitor badge. He had returned to observe under the terms of his review. He would have to complete additional safety training before anyone decided whether he could return to fieldwork. Sasha checked the new door circuit, verified the restored dual interlock, and compared every serial number with the approved drawings. Then she closed the cabin doors. Mittel mit Mittel. The mechanical latch moved into place. This time, the final click came cleanly. The controller waited. Only after the lock confirmed did the green indicator illuminate. Sasha watched it for 2 full seconds before removing the red inspection lock. The empty cabin rose along the glass wall, carrying no owner, no investor, and no one whose safety depended on a schedule. At the rooftop, it stopped level with the floor. Jonah looked at Sasha. "Were you ever afraid you were wrong?" Sasha kept her eyes on the green light. "Yes." The cabin began its return. "But I was more afraid of signing anyway." When it reached the lobby, the doors opened only after the mechanical release completed. Sasha closed her case. This time, the green light came last.